Time, the show that has everybody talking. My name's Steve today, and I will be the host for tonight's edition of Toastmasters Time. As with every Toastmasters meeting, we have prepared speeches and evaluations so the speaker can get some feedback, and the speech they give the next time will be even better than the one tonight. As an evaluator for this week's show, we have Ron Fitch. Ron, what do we have in store for us for tonight's show?
We have three uniquely different speeches tonight. Annamarie Buonocore is going to be talking to us about driving. Deborah Weiner is going to talk to us about forgiveness. Now that's important. And Rosalyn Kahn is going to talk to us about trauma to triumph. Wow, what a combination of speeches tonight. I can't wait.
All right, well, that's excellent, Ron, and we will hear more from you later. So our first speaker tonight is going to be Annamarie Buonocore. Annamarie, welcome to Toastmaster Time.
Thank you.
We appreciate you being here. You're a member of Mayor Island Toastmasters in Vallejo.
Yes, that's correct.
What brought you to Toastmasters?
I have been speaking in church and in school since I was a kid, since junior high school, and one day somebody suggested to me that I give Toastmasters a try.
Well, excellent, excellent. And what roles have you filled as a Toastmaster?
I have filled several roles. One of my favorites is being an evaluator during the meetings. I like how this role provides a certain amount of structure and also allows for a certain amount of creativity.
All right. And how have the activities in Toastmasters helped you outside of Toastmasters?
There's a lot to be learned here. Being a Toastmaster of a meeting helps you develop not only your leadership and speaking skills, but gives you an idea of how to interact with the public, which is so important in so many jobs and roles.
Definitely, definitely. Are you ready to give your speech?
Yes.
All right, terrific. Well, we'll let you get set up, and I will tell the audience about your message, your project, and your title. Annamarie is on the pathway called Persuasive Influence. Level 3, she's working on vocal variety. Annamarie Buonocore, learning how to park backwards. Learning how to park backwards. Annamarie Buonocore.
Perhaps one of the greatest milestones we experience in our younger years, or sometimes our older years, is learning how to drive. How many people here were excited when they learned how to drive? When you learn how to drive, you can go anywhere. You can be as free as a bird. Well, you can't go until you successfully learn how to stop. Parking is the most important thing in driving. As my mom said when I was learning how to drive, if you can't park, you can't drive. There's several kinds of parking. The first one is the one that most people do, where they turn their car into a parking space and park straight in forward. That's what most people do. Then there's parallel parking, which is so common in urban areas. You have to learn how to park on the street. I'm great at this kind of parking as long as there's no car in front of me or no car behind me. I'd be great in volleyball if I could only play with a tennis net. That's what I remember telling myself in school. Well, back to parking. The hardest kind of parking, the one that my mom didn't even attempt to teach me because she didn't think I had it in me, is to be able to park backwards so that when you leave, you are facing forwards. Friends, I am from a town called San Mateo, just up the road, and the one thing that unites all San Mateans is learning how to park and learning how to drive in the CSM parking lot. CSM stands for the College of San Mateo. Well, I remember my mom taking me up there to drive, and I'm her firstborn, and my dad had passed away, and my uncle was teaching me how to drive, and my mom's Greek, so she was a little nervous, to the point of fiery nervous when she was teaching me how to drive. And I remember on the way to school in the morning, and then when she was teaching me how to park, that she would start using her Greek to get me to go faster. Instead of saying go, 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 she would say the Greek word piene, 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 piene. And when I hear Greeks say that, I get super nervous to the point where the hairs are standing on the back of my head. So she taught me how to park forwards, and then we worked on parallel parking a little bit. And one day I said, can you teach me how to park backwards? And she said, we're not even going to attempt that. You have to be a really good driver to do that. Well, there was a priest at our church, and his name was Father Anthony Costuris, and everybody loved him. He saved marriages. If you were having surgery at the hospital, he could be there in 10 minutes. If you were having a problem, you could go to him. He was better than any therapist there was. One thing that I learned from Father Anthony was not how to be wiser, how to be stronger, how to grieve better, how to feel better, how to park backwards. He could whip that big white Cadillac of his straight back into a parking space against the wall with both lines on each side of him. And when it was time to go, he could shoot straight out. That's how he made it to the hospital so fast, because he could park backwards. One night I was watching 2020, and somebody was murdered, and their family found their car before they found the murdered victim. And they knew that there was a problem because they saw this person's car parked perfectly backwards. And one of their relatives said that couldn't be the person who died because she didn't know how to park backwards. I said, I do not want to be that person. I want to be Father Anthony. I want to be able to whip that car into the parking space backwards so that when it's time to go, I can shoot right out and get anywhere I need to go in time. Well, I started to practice a little bit on my own, little by little, as my mom would say in her Greek slang. I don't even know if this is Greek or what. She always said, you know, when you're going slow, it's koots, koots, va, va. And I would attempt to park it backwards, try to stay in the lines, and I never really got it right. So eventually she and my uncle said, you know how to drive now, you're released into the wild. Go drive, go do what you want to do, don't get in trouble. If you get in trouble, don't call us. Well, one day I did get in a little bit of trouble. I had a fender bender, and then the dreaded envelope came from the insurance company. And I opened it up, my rate went up, so I called my insurance agent, and the receptionist at my insurance office is about 4'10", little Asian woman from China, and she looked up at me and she says, I cannot lower your rates. You a very bad driver. And I said, I'm not a bad driver. I drive professionally. I drive my family's magazines all over. I'm not that bad. I'm just bad at parking. But if you can't park, you can't drive. So throughout my driving career, I had these small cars. I started off with my dad's 1995 Thunderbird, really low to the ground, kind of small. Then I got a Chevy Malibu, that was small. Then I got a Volvo S40, that was small. And one day I really wanted another Volvo after my Volvo died, but I somehow ended up with a Subaru. And my family's thinking, oh my goodness, how are you going to drive a Subaru? You can't even drive a little car. Well, I got in that Subaru and I had to park backwards one day, and all of a sudden the visibility was very clear and I could see the lines behind me. That is the trick. For anybody here who wants to learn how to park backwards, you have to be able to see in the rearview mirror the two lines and then fit yourself right in. And with swift moves, I was able to fit right in. At first I went a little slow, and today I am proud to say that with the clarity and visibility, I can park backwards just as good as, if not better than, the man, the mystery, the legend, Father Anthony. And he's looking down here and he's telling me it's going to be okay. Thank you, host.
All right, Annamarie. So Ron, what did you think of Annamarie's speech?
Wow. I have the saying, your speech title is your calling card. So that title better be good, and your title nailed it completely. The subtle humor tonight, you painted a picture of people. I can see those peoples in my mind's eye. Only two things I'd like to recommend. You were speaking a little hurried tonight. Could you slow it down a little bit? You had time. Put pauses in between a few of your topics. And in the beginning, you were kind of frozen here. You've got a speaking area. Could you move around a little bit? You did the backup thing near the end. That was great. This speech, you can run with it and turn this into 5 speeches. I loved hearing it. Thank you.
All right, terrific, Ron. And we will hear more from you pretty soon. So our second speaker is Deborah Weiner. Deborah, welcome to Toastmaster Time.
Hello.
We appreciate you being here. You're a member of Speakers Forum, aren't you?
Yes, I am.
How did you become a Toastmaster?
I became a Toastmaster because I had lost my voice, and it propelled me to seek a place where I could speak and to overcome my fear of speaking.
Overcome your fear of speaking.
Yes.
And what kind of roles and activities have you had in Toastmasters?
I have filled every role that Toastmasters offers. One of my favorite roles is the Table Topics Master, because listening to the members answer the questions that are presented to them is sometimes so heartwarming, and it helps you to get to know them.
Great.
Yeah.
And how have these activities helped you outside of Toastmasters?
They have developed skills in me that have helped me to learn how to lead a meeting, to serve roles on a board, on nonprofit organizations, and in my business.
Well, great. We can't wait to hear your speech. Are you ready to give it?
I am.
All right, terrific. So if you go over to the speaking area, get yourself ready. I will tell the audience what your project is, what your message is, and what your title is. All right. So Deborah Weiner is on the Visionary Communication Path, Level 3. Her project is to inspire her audience. Deborah Weiner, the power of forgiveness. The power of forgiveness. Deborah Weiner.
Who in your life do you need to forgive? I'll bet you can think of at least one person in your life that you can forgive. Most of us can. The power of forgiveness leads to a very important emotion called love. And the two most important emotions are forgiveness and love. To hold a grudge is to close off your energy and not allow love to come into your life. Holding a grudge and resentment and anger towards someone blocks energy that allows you to move forward in life. I know I had many people to forgive. Cortisol is raised in our body when we are holding a grudge and we're angry. And cortisol causes many detrimental effects on the body, including sleeplessness, inflammation, anxiety, and even cancer sometimes. And when relating to people, if we're holding a grudge, we really can't get to know them and have a deep connection. You might ask yourself, why should I forgive that person? You don't know what they did to me. The reason that you should forgive people is to empower yourself and to be able to get your vitality and life force back. Because when you are holding a grudge and angry at someone, you're only hurting yourself. They don't even know you're angry at them. So you do it for yourself. An example of a time in my life when I was angry at someone is my older sister Judy. I was angry at her from the time I was a child, just from things that happened in my childhood. She didn't even know I was angry at her. And every time she would call me during my lifetime, I would cringe and think, I don't think I want to answer the phone. I don't want to talk to her. And that anger was blocking me from really getting to know my sister and relate to her. Bless her soul. Now, thinking of my sister after being able to forgive, I can think of her as a beautiful spirit who came here to teach me the lesson of forgiveness, which could teach me the lesson of love. I would like to talk to you about a Hawaiian prayer called Ho'oponopono that I learned, and it's the tool, the key to learning how to forgive. If you can just bring to your mind a person that you're angry at, I could walk you through this prayer. If you would close your eyes for a minute and take a deep breath and repeat these 4 sentences. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. I love you. And thank you. And take a deep breath and open your eyes. Take a look at how you might feel. You might feel just a little bit more calm than you did when we started. Usually, forgiveness doesn't take just one time of saying this prayer. It can take multiple times. But now you have a tool that you can use, and you don't have to say the words in any perfect order. And every time you think of a person that you're angry at, say this prayer, and eventually you will have forgiven them. You may ask, how will I know if I've forgiven them? You will know when you don't feel anger anymore when you think of that person. Just like I did with my sister Judy. And now I can think of her with love and affection and remember the good things about her and the good times we had. Another way to think about people, to be able to forgive them, is to think of them as actors and actresses in a play that came here to play an award-winning actor and actress role and to teach you the lesson, to maybe cause the pain that you needed to have to be able to forgive, that can lead you to love, which is the highest emotion you can feel. If I can leave this evening with just one person remembering this tool and to use this tool to get to the emotion of love for themselves, the space where you can create anything you want, the life you dream of, and there's no limitations, I will feel like I was successful this evening. So I invite you to why wait? It's now or never to get to the power of forgiveness.
All right, Deborah, thank you for the great message. Ron, what did you think about Deborah's speech?
Wow, the power of forgiveness. In my work as a biofeedback therapist, it's all about forgiveness. I asked that question 10 times today with clients, and you, Deborah, really brought it to us, that how important that is and what it does to us neurologically and chemically. You had a powerful speech. The only thing that kind of drew me down, you were frozen here. You moved around a little bit, but I thought your feet were in cement. If you could play with the space a little bit, I'm trying to play a little bit without being too wild, but you did what needed to be done today, which is talk to us about forgiveness, and that is another speech that could be repeated again and again and again. Well done.
All right, terrific, Ron. Thank you very much for the great evaluation. Now we have our third speaker, Rosalyn Kahn. Roz, welcome to Toastmasters Time.
Thank you so much.
I appreciate you being here. You're with Leaders Worldwide Toastmasters.
Correct.
All right. What brought you to Toastmasters?
Well, what brought me to Toastmasters, I was young, I graduated from college, and my father said, great, you have a degree, now you need to get an education and get some practice in Toastmasters, and that's what sent me to Toastmasters.
All right. What kind of roles have you held as a Toastmaster?
Some of the most exciting roles was the roles I held in leadership. I was an area governor, I was a division governor, lieutenant governor of marketing, and so forth, and they were all very rewarding because they taught me how to lead, how do we get people from being slackers to motivators and things like that.
How to lead. How has all of that helped you outside of Toastmasters?
Well, right now I have a TV show, and it's a lot to be said of being a one person in a TV show, as we see with this big cadre of people that you have. It takes a lot to get people to do what you want them to do, and you have to treat them with kindness, with gratitude, and keep your eye focused on the ball of what you need to do.
All right.
It's amazing.
Amazing. Are you ready to give your speech?
I'm very ready.
All right. Well, we can't wait. We'll let you go over to the speaking area, get ready, and I will introduce your project, what your assignment is, and what your title is. Now, Rosalyn is speaking from the Strategic Relationship Path, Level 3, about networking. Rosalyn Kahn, TV trauma to triumph. TV trauma to triumph. Rosalyn Kahn.
Emergency, emergency, emergency. This is a break in our regularly organized program. It seems as though from the deep South Seas, they've picked up, oh my God, it's a time capsule. Let's open it up. And as they opened it up, there were 3 stories they needed us to know. Number 1, there's a story of a lady by the name of Connie Chung. Connie Chung was the first Asian American to have a show that took over when Barbara Walters had passed away. And the very first show she did was Marvin Irvin Johnson, who had come down with that terrible tragedy of AIDS. And the second one was weapons of mass destruction. Should we do it? Should we not? President George W. Bush? Oh no. But wait, there was a third one. Elizabeth Smart, a girl who was kidnapped and 9 months in captivity, and she was suddenly found. Ladies and gentlemen, there's a saying by Jeffrey Fry who said, life is 2% success, 8% talent, and 90% simply going ahead and showing up. So let me tell you how that relates to me. I was a teacher in a college teaching for the very first time small group communication, and I told my students there's a form you need to fill out. It's called Getting to Know You, all the things that you need to know that are important for a teacher. And secondly, there are 2 rules, just 2. Show up on time and turn your work in on time. Now, as I look at all of you out there, I bet there's someone who has a problem with people showing up on time and turning things in on time. Well, there's one of the students whose name is John Smith, and John Smith comes up to me and says, hey, Teach, I was wondering, I think I should let you know that I'm bipolar and I'm not seeing my doctor. Okay, all right, no problem. And then he came in and he said, would you like to chair my political club? And I said, well, it's a little different than me, but we'll be all right. Well, this same student had another problem. He seemed to have that problem of showing up on time and turning things in on time. Actually, there were 15 good students. 3 of them had the same problem. And I thought to myself, I got it. What if I have him write a letter to the President of the United States on that weapons of mass destruction? You know the President of the United States doesn't have time to write everybody back a letter of their own. Well, this student decided rather than turn it in on time, he was going to have an agenda against me. You say, well, what agenda did he do? Well, he turned it over to this organization called FIRE, the Federal Rights of the Investigation of the Rights of Educator. They have, you know, the one side of the political party and the other side of the political party, and he turned me over. You said, what do you mean he turned me over? Well, I was in front of all the schools I worked at, and they called me in their office, and they said, are you doing these same political activities at our school? I said, no, I have a student who comes from Camp Pendleton to my classroom, and you know what his job is? He sends people off to war. I couldn't be prouder of what this gentleman does for me. Well, you better not be doing these political activities in our school. It's not politics. It's really just turning their work in on time. And then I went to the next school. And you know they had those tape recorders where they played back those messages? There was this message that came from the Deep South, and it said, do you have a crazy teacher by the name of Rosalyn Kahn? You should just get her out of there. Get her out of there. Well, they turned to me and they said, our classroom is your castle. You can do as you please. Now, I walked out of there and I felt pretty good, but you know, everywhere I go, the radios were off the hook. My husband was playing secretary, and Connie Chung was calling on the phone. And there was this one school, I was told by my lawyer, you couldn't talk about it and you couldn't tell your teachers what was going on. But these students were off the wall. They were crazy. They were wild. And I got to the car and there was another commercial. And then my situation was in the court, and it was out of the court, and in the court, and out of the court. And finally, they threw it out of the court. They threw it to the mediation. And as I got into that mediation, they asked me about my role as a teacher. And I said, my name is Rosalyn Kahn, and I love my students more than anything in the whole world. I simply asked them to turn their work in on time and basically show up on time. But there was this political agenda. And as I left the room and I walked down the hall, my attorney looked at me and he said these words, you are by far the best storyteller I've ever heard. And it was the waiting game again. It was like the end of the semester, almost like where we are right now. And I checked the mail each and every day, and finally one day this letter appeared, and my heart started beating pounder and pounder and pounder, and I opened up the envelope, and I couldn't believe my eyes. Oh my God, my name was cleared, but there was 2 conditions. Number 1, I couldn't go on social media and tell my story. Number two, I couldn't tell it in a newspaper article. So ladies and gentlemen, I am so proud that as I stand in front of you today, I was awarded this last semester from that school that told me my classroom was my castle. This award here from Los Angeles City College that said I was the best teacher of the entire faculty at that school. You see, life isn't really a bowl of cherries. Sometimes you get things that you don't want, but you need to stand up strong and proud and say what it is that you believe. So Connie Chung might have preempted me from TV. Elizabeth Smart might have kicked me off. But I'm here to say that TV trauma many years ago led to triumph. And thank you so much.
All right, Rosalyn. We have Ron Fitch at the table now as an evaluator. And Ron, tell us what you thought of Rosalyn's speech.
Wow, she did not go where I thought she was going to go. I thought it was going to be about some trauma for her. But in fact, what she did was she shared with us how trauma and TV, well, if you know the movie Network, in the movie Network, it was all about trauma that sells. So she showed how she got preempted because her little problem wasn't as big as the others, but she came back. The only area that was tough for me was she spoke a little too hurried, too fast in the beginning, but then she slowed it down, and then she got really, I think, into it in the end because she put in vocal variety and she even gave us a call to action. No one else did that tonight. She gave us a call to action. And isn't that what we do in Toastmasters?
That's right. I also like your classroom is your castle.
Yes.
That's going to stick with me. So anyway, great show tonight. Ron, can you tell us, we'd like to get to know you a little bit. You're an Alameda tongue twister, aren't you?
You bet I am. The
You
best
are.
club in the world.
The best club in the world. And what brought you to Toastmasters?
I was threatened. Join Toastmasters or you're out of here, meaning my employer. Fast forward a year later, I'm still in the club. She flaked. I don't know where she is anymore. But you know what? The Tongue Twisters is such a great club that I stuck around. And instead of being here because I had to, I do it now because I love doing it.
All right. Well, terrific show. That's our show for tonight. I appreciate everybody joining us for the show. We tape in the San Francisco Bay Area. If you'd like to know more about Toastmasters Time, please go to toastmasterstime.com. We're sponsored by District 57 Toastmasters. They can be found at d57tm.org. And if you'd like to find out more about Toastmasters International and how to find a club, please go to toastmasters.org. We are grateful for our talented staff and volunteers at the Media Center in Palo Alto and our wonderful speakers tonight, Annamarie Buonocore, Deborah Weiner, Rosalyn Kahn, and our evaluator, Ron Fitch. From all of us at Toastmasters Time TV, we encourage you to check out Toastmasters and keep on talking.